What's up everyone, this is Ben here, and I'm going to be telling you everything you need to know about Nintendo's latest first-party exclusive, Splatoon. So what is Splatoon? On its face, it's an innovative, fast-paced, and vibrant third-person shooter. Look a little deeper, and you'll find a living world filled with unique qualities and potential to get even better. At its core, Splatoon is amazingly simple. An 8-player match pits two teams against one another, with the only objective being to fill up as much of the map as you possibly can with your own team's paint. An array of weapons and custom apparel allow for each player to achieve their own separate feel. The matches are only a few minutes long, and the gameplay is unconditionally rampant. Even though it's hard to classify the maps as small, they certainly aren't large, and the ability to turn yourself into a squid that easily swims across the map's terrain, provided that it's on your own paint, makes getting from one spot to another only a mild concern. Part of the game's charm is that things can change in a matter of seconds. Map control is undoubtedly the most important part of the game, but it can be taken from your team in an instant. Maps can go from a blowout to a tight match in the blink of an eye. By the time it's over, you'll want more, and at only a few minutes per match, just one more game is sure to become a staple for most users. Splatoon's hub is perhaps the game's most charismatic feature. Much like Nintendo Land, you'll often find players hanging around the hub with messages popping up above their heads. Be prepared, the number of Squidward jokes is too damn high. From the hub's central area, you can go to a weapons shop, several different clothing shops, and reach all of the game's different modes, including a campaign, a one-on-one local mode, and online multiplayer. The shops are charming and seem to update regularly, but the dialogue begins to repeat itself pretty quickly. There are a few relatively obscure NPCs placed around the map. As it stands, they don't do a lot of interesting things, but it will be engaging to see how Nintendo expands upon the area. Several areas seem to be closed, and there's still a lot of rooms for things to be built. 3 months from now, the hub should look entirely different, and if that's the case, then it's easy to assume Splatoon will wind up a huge success. The game regularly updates the available maps to play, and you're given a quick news update just to make sure you stay fully aware of the ever-changing world. The game is surprisingly fluid, but the controls feel a little loose. Even if you switch from the slightly unpredictable motion controls, which allow you to wave the gamepad around and aim properly, the Y-axis sensitivity is much too high, and the X-axis sensitivity seems a bit slow. This can make aiming pretty frustrating, especially at long range. Thankfully, the game has a built-in tutorial that only takes a couple of minutes to complete. You'll get the hang of the game's nuances in no time, and the learning curve isn't very steep. Something that has been talked about quite a bit has been Nintendo's shallow use of online multiplayer. The talk certainly isn't unwarranted, but it's definitely going to come down to personal preferences. For instance, there is no in-game voice chat that can be used between teammates. This isn't a huge deal, as the chaos of trying to work through something inaudibly can be both fun and gratifying, but not being able to talk with friends makes things feel a wee bit lonely. It will be interesting to see how Nintendo incorporates any kind of inaudible gestures that can be used in and out of games, similar to how Team Fortress 2 and Mario Kart do. Through extensive testing, I found that it takes about 42 seconds to find an online match, with a load time of around 20 seconds, and getting as high as 3 minutes. Joining friends can take a bit longer as matches in progress can't be joined. Even then, you are put in a queue and rarely have to wait longer than for your friend to finish a match. The servers are definitely a step up from Nintendo's Smash Bros. And Mario Kart, but they aren't perfect. Lag has been a small issue in a few games that I've played, but definitely not more than half. Every once in a while, you'll randomly be disconnected from a game with the message, "Communication error." While unfortunate, the short load times make this much more bearable. One of the strongest aspects of Splatoon is its gunplay. Despite the marginally wonky controls, every gun is fun to use, even if some of them aren't nearly as effective as others. While leveling up, you accumulate points that can be spent on guns or attire, and there are plenty to choose from. For example, the Splat Roller, which allows you to streak paint on the floors and slam into enemies for a one-shot KO. While the most effective tool to paint the floor, it has exactly 0 range to knock out enemies with. There's also the Charger, which doubles as the game's sniper rifle. It isn't perfect, but it serves the unique purpose of knocking down enemies at long range. It does little in the way of splashing paint, but it isn't bad for combat. There's more than a dozen other guns to play with, all of which have unique abilities. Nintendo seems dedicated to expanding upon the options already available, which should make for a lot more to look forward to. So where does Splatoon go from here? It's hard to say, as Nintendo has been relatively quiet on how exactly it plans to support the game, other than it plans to be active. More maps and guns would certainly be welcome, but for now it seems prudent to keep the core gameplay as tightly knit as possible to see what works and what doesn't. From there, at least 1 or 2 more game modes would be great. Ranked battles are here, and although it takes 10 levels to get there, it'll further blur the line between whether or not Nintendo made the right choice in closing player communication. The last thing anyone wants is a teammate unwilling to cooperate with the rest of the team. Ultimately, Splatoon is going to be remembered for what it does post-launch. For now, the gameplay is so much fun and the world is so engaging that it promises to keep players busy for at least a month or 2. Easily one of the most unique experiences of the last several years, Splatoon is absolutely brimming with potential. Even in hard-fought losses, you'll be sure to want to come back. I'm Ben German 10. Thank you so much for watching.